The Takabara were a fast-moving, lightly armed unit fielded by the Achaemenid or Persian Empire. First mentioned by the Greeks during the Greco-Persian Wars, they were believed by their foes to be a form of light javelin men, which the Greeks referred to as peltast. However, they were much more than simple skirmishers. Recruited from one of the many Iranian tribes that the Persians had subjugated, the Takabara were named after their famous crescent-shaped shield, the Taka. This was an Eastern light infantry shield made up of wicker. The shield provided good protection from missiles and other light infantry weapons on the open plains of the east. However, as with their fellow light infantry unit, the Sparabara, it would prove to be highly ineffective when it came to close quarters combat against a more heavily armoured foe. In terms of weaponry, the Takabara primarily used their native weapons. However, they are famous for utilising a type of axe called a sagaris. The sagaris was a short battle axe with a sharp curved blade on one side and a nasty point on the other. The blade was sometimes swapped out with a hammer, making the weapon highly versatile. The sagaris originated in the nomadic heartlands of the Scythians. However, as the Persians had regular contact with these nomadic tribes, the weapon gradually found use in Achaemenid armies. What's interesting about the Takabara is that sources do not state whether or not they wore body armour. As such, it's generally believed that they went into open combat wearing little more than clothing. This had several advantages, the first being that it gave the Takabara more mobility, meaning they could run faster for longer distances. The other was that clothing did provide at least some protection. However, the main disadvantages of not wearing armour is fairly apparent. As a result, it's not unheard of to speculate if the Takabara wore a similar padded vest to that of the Sparabara. Despite the obvious disadvantages of not wearing any real armour, the Takabara were nonetheless a formidable force on the battlefield. Not wearing armour gave them high mobility, meaning that the momentum of their charge usually carried a larger punch than that of their more heavily armoured foes. If the Takabara could carry out a successful charge, they could slay or wound many opponents before their disadvantages presented themselves. Given enough time, the enemy could reform and counterattack such a charge easily. This was exemplified at the Battle of Thermopylae, where the lightly armoured Takabara were deployed against the heavy infantry of the Greeks. As a result of the disadvantages that came from wearing little to no armour, the Takabara were more often than not confined to garrison duties. This protected them from the disadvantages of their poor armour choices, as the garrison walls would in theory protect them from any real threat. After the fall of the Achaemenid Empire, the Takabara disappeared from history, and unlike other Persian units, are not mentioned during the conquest of Alexander and the subsequent Greek successor states of the East. Thank you for watching and listening to our videos. Be sure to like, comment and subscribe if you've enjoyed. All sources are listed and linked in the description below. I've been the Ancient History Guy, and as always, I'll be seeing you later.